Hey everybody, my name's Jesse and welcome to another edition of GenX Thinks. And today I'm going to give you some exclusive insights into Gen X's toughness. I believe it's pretty well known that Generation X, as a rule, is a pretty tough generation. The way we grew up and what we've endured since we were children. But why? What particular things made us tough? To begin with, what today you would call hate speech and maybe even bullying and other negative things like that connected to language and speaking to each other. Back then, we called that just normal socializing. That's how we treated each other. And it was like a game. You would see who the winner was in each individual contest. You would see who gave up, who laughed, who got upset. Your buddies would razz you and you would razz them. It wasn't always one-sided. It wasn't one kid always getting picked on. Of course, individual kids got picked on in school. I'm not saying that, but in your friend group. Within your friend group, you all picked on each other constantly. And the more offensive and outrageous the insult, the better. That would lead to an emotional and a mental toughness as society changed. Back then, it wasn't considered tough. It was just normal. But since society has changed and leaned in this way to where things are more sensitive and everything that you don't like is hate speech and this kind of thing. So now Gen X is seen as tough, but it's more along the lines of what we've gotten used to. People get used to things, and even animals. Animals get used to things. But people in particular, we get used to things. You can think of, you've seen movies and whatnot about a prisoner that gets out of prison and he's been there so long that society, working out in society and all that freedom is difficult and he wants to go back. It's the same thing. You just get used to things. Just like the prisoner, that doesn't mean he's tough. It just means he's used to something else. That is the thing with the Gen X and our mental and emotional toughness, I think. We're just used to a different brand of interaction. So the things that we say to each other or that are said to us that don't affect us and that seem ridiculous to us are to newer generations offensive, hateful, whatever. And that makes us seem tough. And maybe that is toughness. But it makes us seem tough just because we're used to something else. When in actuality, each individual Gen Xer, they have their own line in the sand, and if you cross it, they're going to let you know, or they're going to defend themselves or whatever. A lot of that is individual too. Everybody's got an individual line, and if it's crossed, then they respond. That line has shifted a lot through generations, and in this new age of internet and whatnot, us Gen Xers, we can't even see the line, anymore as far as for the entire generation, for each entire generation. So there's some argument there as far as, mental and emotional toughness, that it's what you get used to. But for physical toughness, that's a different thing, because, the merry-go-rounds and the seesaw, the teeter-totter, the metal slides, all these things. And just, we used to come home, and if we didn't have grass in our hair and, blood stain somewhere, then we didn't have a fun day. Physical toughness, there's a lot to be said for Gen X. I've been to work with younger people. I do construction, remodeling, that kind of stuff. And I've been to work with younger people. And, you put a drill bit through your thumb, or hit your finger with a hammer or whatever, something like that. Or, cut yourself with your razor knife, different things. Little accidents happen all the time. That's just part of the job. you do something like that, and I'll shake my hand. I mean, it hurts, don't get me wrong, shake my hand. If blood doesn't splatter, then I just keep working. If blood splatters, then I got to go bandage it up and make sure that I don't get blood everywhere, just keep bleeding all over the place. But a lot of younger people, they'll get an injury like that and look around and they're gone. Where'd Robbie go? Oh, he went home, he hurt himself. Like, what? What? Dude, that's part of the job description, is hurting yourself in this kind of this field, this kind of work. We have nothing but blades and sharp instruments and, all over the place. You're going to hurt yourself. If you don't have to pick up a body part, and take it to the hospital and get it sewn back on, you just go back to work. That's just par for the course, That's nothing new, nothing strange, nothing, just stuff that happens on a daily basis. You can't go home every day because you smash your thumb with a hammer. You just gotta keep keeping on. And probably, speaking of that, as a little off note there, probably the most pain I've ever suffered in my life, and I've been into some painful situations, but I hit this finger with a 22-ounce waffle head framing hammer. Bow! That hurt. I was up in the rafters putting a hurricane strap on a truss, and I hit that finger, and I got down, and it just took it was bleeding. It took the chunk of meat right off my finger, and I wrapped it up, and it was swollen to the point where I could feel my heartbeat in the finger, boo 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 boo, like that. And I had to get back to work, so I get back up there and I do a couple more nails, and I hit it again about 10 minutes later. That second time I hit it was the most pain I've ever felt in my life. A grown man, I wished at that time that I was like a 6-year-old girl, so I could just lay down in the sand and cry. That's how bad it hurt. I wanted to cry. If there haven't been other grown men around me, I probably would have. That hurt so bad. It was the most intense pain I've ever felt. That was just a little side note there. And I didn't go home. I sucked it up and, went back to work. That's the kind of stuff that we just grew up with, feeling pain like that, because you can't go outside and run around on asphalt and not fall down and skin your knee and fly off a merry-go-round and do all that without acquiring physical toughness, real physical toughness. So there's a lot of that in Gen X, physically tough. And that is why, because we've had to endure that kind of stuff before the advent of the internet. I mean, we had video games, but your parents will buy you one video game and you play it constantly for a couple days or whatever. Then you go outside and play for a couple weeks until you get another video game. There wasn't this online stuff and massive multiplayer games that you could play for hours on end every day for months. That stuff didn't exist. You had a 9-hour playthrough, and then that was it. You were done. Then you went back outside. That's my insight into GenX Toughness. I believe that the physical toughness thing is real, 100%. The mental and emotional toughness, that's more of a changing of the times. And we did not change with the times. I think maybe some of the other people have, maybe individual Gen Xers have, and some of the other generations, older generations, they did move along with the times as far as that goes. But from what I see online and talking to other Gen Xers, we didn't change with the times as far as that emotional and mental sensitivity. We didn't lose our toughness there. We just stayed with what we were used to. Only time will tell which one is better. Is it better to be tough or to be sensitive in this technological future we're moving into? I personally think that a little toughness is good for anybody during any time. It's just better not to let something hurt you. If you can, don't let it hurt you. Don't let it bother you. And I'll leave you with that. If you'd like to support the channel, you can do so by buying me a cup of coffee, and I'll leave the link down in the description. And also, if you're interested in GenX gear, I'll leave that link in the description. There's some cool stuff on there. If you don't want to or can't support the channel in either one of those ways, you can always do so by sharing the videos on your social media. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Y'all have done quite a bit of sharing and commenting, and I sincerely thank you for that stuff. I appreciate it. Also, if you have any ideas for future episodes of GenX Things, please put them down in the comments. I appreciate it. It's really fun bringing your ideas to life. And as always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.